What's up, y'all? It's Burroughs Point, and today we're going to go over my top 5 modifications for Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager. Let's go. If you're new to my channel, my name is Calvin, and this is Burroughs Point. I go over motorcycle stuff. Today we're going to be featuring my 2012 Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager, and I will say that these are going to be in no particular order of importance or anything like that. These are just modifications I think you need to take into consideration. So with that, let's start. So it's no secret that the Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager comes a little muted from the factory. So there are some things that you're going to have to do to customize it to really make it sing, make it do its thing. All in all, I think it's a wonderful bike. I love Kawasaki Vulcan Voyagers. They're great, they're powerful, they're big, they're comfortable, they're everything that you want a touring, cruising motorcycle to be.
Coming in at number 5, exhaust pipes. As with most motorcycles, the stock pipes that are on this motorcycle are really muted from the factory. So if you're the kind of guy who likes a rumble, who likes loud pipes, maybe you ought to consider getting new pipes on this motorcycle. Not only do they sound great, not only do they look great, but they can also somewhat enhance performance. Not that it's going to turn this bike into a crotch rocket, but it can somewhat enhance the performance on this motorcycle. The particular pipes that I have on my bike are Freedom exhaust pipes. I like them. They have a deep tone to them. They're loud. They meet all of my requirements for exhaust pipes for a motorcycle.
Other than Freedom, though, there are many other options out there. I would encourage you to explore them, take a look at what's out there. If you have experience with other brands of aftermarket exhaust, you might consider them for your upgrade. Number 4, highway pegs.
Coming in at number 4 are highway pegs. So highway pegs are an upgrade that I definitely recommend if you're the kind of rider to sit there and eat miles and ride for hours and hours and hours. I, for one, know that when I'm sitting in one position, I really enjoy the ability to stretch my legs out, change my leg position from that 90-degree crook, and kind of get some blood flowing and move your legs around a little bit. I have to do that on long rides. So for me, highway pegs are 100% a must-have item for the road.
Of course, everyone's got a different style, everyone's got a different preference, so you may not even want highway pegs, but you may have a particular brand, a particular style you like. These may not be something that you would want. I will be honest with you, if I was buying motorcycle pegs to put on this bike, I probably wouldn't buy these, but again, take a look at the accessories, the possibilities out there. You probably do, though. If you're gonna put some miles on this bike, you're gonna want some highway pegs.
Coming in at number 3 is Bluetooth audio.
So on my particular motorcycle, there was some modifications done. There was extra power point that was put in the top box in the trunk, and it gave me an extra outlet, I suppose, to put there, and I've used that outlet to put in a Bluetooth, FM to Bluetooth type adapter. That way I can play whatever tunes I want on my phone, and it pipes it through to my speakers on board this Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager right here. So I can play the music through the 2 onboard speakers that I have there. Now, that is not the only way that you can go about this. I know that there's a company or couple companies out there that make things. Vulcan Tunes comes off the top of my head. They make an adapter specifically for this bike. It goes into the connector that I believe normally lives in this particular box here, that you can put your Bluetooth connector on, and that you can connect your Bluetooth that way. So that's another option. There's many different ways to do that, but however you do that, since this bike, it does come with minimal, I guess, Bluetooth accessories, you're going to want that upgrade to be able to connect the bike to your phone if you're into that kind of thing, if you like to listen to music or just want to connect your phone to this bike going down the road.
Coming in at number 2 is a windshield.
So like all motorcycles, there is no one-size-fits-all solution, and the stock windshield on these motorcycles sits pretty high up, so not a lot of people want that. Some people want the wind in their face, some people want a lower windshield, some people are fine with the stock windshield, some people, they just want something different. The great thing about the stock windshield is it does protect you. So if you want something where you can get a little bit of wind and you can also hide behind the windshield if you want, this particular windshield that I've got here, the clear view shield that I've got, has a vent right here. I can open this, I can close this, I can get some air if I want. I can open it up, get some air, I can close it up if I don't want air. So that is a solid option. Again, this particular windshield that's going to be here is a clear view shield. So that's an option to get kind of the best of both worlds. You can get wind when you want it and close it off if you don't.
Number 1, Ivanize.
So this is going to be a controversial topic. Not everyone agrees with this, but there is a couple of companies out there. I know Ivan's Performance Motorcycles or Performance Products is one, and then there's another one. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I'll put some text.
It's more Mafia.
There. But essentially what they do is the ECU in these bikes come really muted from the factory. And they take the ECU and they put a more aggressive tune on there, and they also fix some of the issues that come endemic from this bike from the factory. For example, there's a fuel cutoff on this bike. If you release the throttle while going down the road, the bike responds by turning the fuel off, the fuel pump off, and just letting it coast on with that. When you reapply the throttle, it gives you a little bit of jerking sensation or whatever. So for example, the Ivan's tune can fix that and make it to where the bike, the fuel pump doesn't cut off, and it's more of a smooth transition. Also, a lot of people say that the Ivan tune can wake their bike up. It really puts this bike into, makes it live up to its potential and really brings out that 1700 engine, the character of that engine. Now, there are potential downsides to Ivanizing. Of course, you know, you're messing with some programming on the bike, so it might avoid a warranty, it might do some other things. But for a lot of people who own these motorcycles, they say that that's pretty much the only way to Ivanizing is the way, is what they say. But definitely consider that may be something that you do. Like I said, if you find this bike is really muted from the factory, that may be something you can do to really wake it up and really bring this bike into its own. So I know I said 5. We're going to squeeze in a couple honorable mentions here and just kind of cheat a little bit and give you a little bit more value for this video.
So the first honorable mention that I will mention is that of a phone mount. So this bike doesn't come with a whole bunch of technology. There's an LCD screen, there's a very basic kind of infotainment system there, really just a radio. So your phone becomes the main technology with this bike. And that's kind of genius, right? Because you can replace the technology, you can upgrade the technology without having to rip into the fairing or take anything out or do anything like that. So your phone becomes the technology on this bike, and you can connect it to the bike via Bluetooth. So since that's the case, you're going to need a way to mount your phone on the motorcycle and be able to bring it with you. And so a phone mount becomes absolutely necessary. Run your GPS, to run all your other apps, and to give you all those creature comforts going down the road.
And if you own one of these bikes and that's kind of your shtick and you like these bikes, you're probably in the same vein as me. You don't have to have the frills. You don't want necessarily the big 12-inch display or anything like that. You want something more analog. You want something a little bit more dumbed down, and that's fine. For me personally, my phone has all the technology I need. It has my navigation, it has all my other stuff. So as long as I'm able to mount my phone to the handlebars, I'm good to hook. So for me, a phone mount is a must. I must have that in order to really use the bike to its full potential.
Now, a lot of folks will recommend that you get a custom air intake for this bike. And usually those kind of people are people who are trying to maximize the output of this 1700cc engine. A lot of folks pair that with an Ivan tune and pipes and whatnot to try to eke every little bit of horsepower out of this engine. So if you're seeking more horsepower, more power, all that stuff, you might ought to consider getting a custom air intake in order to maximize the potential of this engine.
And then lastly, one of the most recent upgrades I made to this motorcycle is the last thing that we'll cover.
Recently, I installed an Eagle Lights LED headlight to replace the factory headlight on this motorcycle. And let me tell you, it's been a night and day difference. Now, I do a fair bit of both daytime and late evening, early morning, and nighttime riding. And this headlight really does make a huge difference on the road. The halogen bulb just does not compare. Now, as you can see, I have not yet replaced the lights on the auxiliary fog lamps, or whatever we're going to call those, on this motorcycle. However, the bulbs have been replaced to upgrade to LED bulbs. So while I haven't completely replaced all the light fixtures with Eagle Lights, at least I've got some LED light bulbs in there. But even though I have not replaced the entire light fixture, these LED bulbs do provide a little bit more lighting for me driving down the road in those dark conditions.
And then one more, I know I said one more, but one more planned upgrade that I do have is for the antenna on this motorcycle.
Now, the stock antenna they give you on this bike is like a 10-inch long kind of deal, and it's got a little pointy end on it. I intend to upgrade this to a stubby antenna at some point. This makes it a lot easier to get it in and out of the cycle shell, as I don't have a garage or anything right now. So covers, shells, it would make it a lot easier to get those on and off. So yeah, gonna get a stubby antenna pretty soon,
so that I can retain my ability to pick up the AM, FM, do all that other good stuff, but also at the same time, I don't have to worry about it when I'm covering the bike or putting it in the cycle shell or anything like that, poking the cycle shell or damaging the cycle shell. It's a lot easier to get it in and out of the cycle shell. So what do you think? These are my 5+2 upgrades to my Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager. What kind of upgrades do you have to your Voyager? What kind of modifications did you make? What are your recommendations on how to make this bike the optimal V-twin touring machine? Leave a comment below. Would love to hear from you. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.